Okay, I see it's 2 p.m. here in the EU, so let's get started. Good afternoon, everybody. Let's just turn the music off. There we go. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome. My name is Bryn. I'm the European Business Development Manager at Hacken, and I'm joined by my colleague Dimitra, who's our Compliance Services Lead.
Hello, nice to meet you all.
And we are representing Hacken. We're a world leader in blockchain cybersecurity, and we have operated for 7 years out of our office in Lisbon. We completed over 1,500 cybersecurity audits on smart contracts, blockchain protocols, and other parts of the DLT tech stack. And we are a part of the EU Blockchain Regulatory Sandbox, alongside 20 other European market leaders. Our goal is to make Web3 a safer place. And with the new regulations like DORA and MiCA, it seems like the EU Commission is aligned with us on that. So today we're going to be diving into a topic that's as thrilling as it is vital: cybersecurity and compliance for Web3 in Europe. So think of this session as less of a lecture and more like a survival guide for the regulatory jungle that we're navigating. Grab your notepads or stay alert. It's going to be practical, to the point, and hopefully not too painful. So, in context, the EU crypto industry right now is feeling the heat from a trifecta of regulations. We've got MiCA, DORA, and new AML and CFT frameworks. Being compliant with the stricter standards is not easy, but it doesn't need to be an insurmountable challenge either. In my line of work as business developer, I deal with small and large Web3 businesses, from startups to huge institutions. Regularly, we hear from the smaller projects who say they don't need to follow EU regulation because they're set up offshore in a very intricate structure. And then on the other side, those who've already begun document preparation and applications for new licensing. The EU has one of the most developed Web3 industries in the world and one of the highest levels of adoption. In my opinion, it's better to avoid the headache of losing access to that market. And if you have the mindset of constant improvement and progress, you're going to succeed in this new business environment. If not, you're probably going to pay more later on. We have a saying in cybersecurity: it's always better to pay a white hat than a black hat. And I think the same now applies to your compliance department as well. So the bottom line: compliance isn't optional anymore. For your tier 1 exchanges and institutions under a VASP or CASP license, it's priority number 1. And let's figure out how the rest of the industry can catch up. So the big guns. MiCA balances consumer protection, financial stability, and monetary sovereignty all in one go, whereas DORA focuses on keeping systems resilient to cyber threats. And these are transnational regulations from the EU, very similar to GDPR in that respect. Anyone that wants to do business with EU residents and citizens must comply. With GDPR, the EU was the first mover with this data protection regulation, but you can go anywhere on the world and see these cookie acceptance pop-ups now on every site. The fines for GDPR non-compliance reach billions in the first 2 years. So we can imagine what's at stake for unprepared Web3 projects under MiCA and DORA. The initial fines are expected at 18 million euros. So we can think of MiCA as the rules of the road and DORA as your seatbelt and airbags. And together, they're here to make sure no one drives off the track or into a data breach. MiCA applies to almost everyone in the cryptoverse, from exchanges to stablecoin issuers, even custodians. If you're wondering whether you fall under its scope, the spoiler alert is you probably do. And again, those CASPs, which used to be structured offshore, UK, Cayman, BVI, etc., and used to work in a grey area of EU residents, now times are changing for them. It's probably going to be super difficult for them to continue to comply. If MiCA were a party, the guest list would be massive. Unfortunately, it's a regulatory party, so there's no champagne, just paperwork and licensing. So here is a little test for you to determine if your project is going to fall under MiCA. This scheme is from a Danish regulatory discussion paper. It's very theoretical, but it does give you a rough guide. If you are offering custody services or trading platforms, if you answered yes to any of these, then congratulations, you've probably got some licensing in your future. MiCA is fully into force since December last year. So if you're a token issuer and this is the first time that you are seeing this, it really is time to take it serious now. And the good news is that passing this test is easier than the one you took for your driving license. But the bad news is it's a lot more expensive. So, and this is our major concern, is DORA. DORA is bringing a new level of seriousness to cybersecurity in the EU. Starting in 2025, today, financial institutions and Web3 projects must meet strict ICT risk management standards or face penalties. When it comes to third-party risks and kind of the reasoning behind DORA, we can remember hacks such as SolarWinds, where in late 2020, hackers compromised the SolarWinds platform. It's a widely used IT management software, so a third-party provider to lots of different companies. The hackers managed to insert malicious code into a routine software update, and it was downloaded all over the world by thousands of customers, including major corporations and government agencies. So the impact of this attack was that this breach went undetected for months. It gave hackers access to sensitive systems across industries. The victims included Microsoft, the US Department of Treasury, and FireEye, a leading cybersecurity firm. And it really exposed vulnerabilities in third-party vendor supply chains. It caused billions in damages and generally is regarded as one of the biggest hacks of all time. So why is it relevant to DORA? So under DORA, organizations must identify, monitor, and mitigate risks posed by ICT third-party service providers like SolarWinds. And the difference for the Web3 industry is mostly they're used to looking at audits on the smart contracts or the blockchain protocols, but they're not used to taking the system level approach where you're looking at all of the moving parts, all of your third-party providers, and creating a comprehensive plan. So DORA mandates the classification and timely reporting of major incidents. This was a significant failure during SolarWinds as the attack went unnoticed for too long. And also resilience testing, so regular penetration tests and audits of vendor systems, that could have helped detect the backdoor sooner. Imagine if your organization's trusted IT partner inadvertently became the Trojan horse for an attacker. That's what SolarWinds taught us. Cyber resilience is only as strong as your weakest link. And under DORA, there's no excuse for neglecting third-party risks. So, how do Hacken help? This is where we step in. From tailored DORA compliance solutions to AI-powered tools like Extractor, our goal is to make your life as product developers easier and your systems safer. And Dima's going to talk a little bit later about exactly how we go about that. From our sort of DORA preparation and DORA compliance service, we first would start with a readiness assessment and a remediation strategy. And then we would go into consultation and process development to mitigate risks. From there, we're going to go into digital operational resilience testing or threat-led penetration testing. And then we produce a final report. So Dima, would you like to jump in and talk a little bit about this service?
Yeah, actually, thank you for taking my word here. So actually in Hacken, we have the the compliance team and with a lot of people behind. So it's not only me. We have the more technical assessment teams like the DApp, smart contracts, audit, penetration testing, red teaming approach. And of course, we have the team which is considering and involving actually in the compliance and security industry recognized frameworks like DORA will be actually. So for the DORA assessment and for my perspective of you as a security expert, I see that the DORA will standing out something like the ISO 27001, but for the Web3 companies, organizations, issuers, and all companies and teams that working with the Web3 assets and so on. So what we actually do is that for each our like DORA project, for the each our roadmap, we incorporating other industry recognized and best practices frameworks just to cover all of the things. For example, if we have the in scope the wallets, if we have the smart contracts, we incorporating the frameworks related to the wallet security, key generation, process management, storage, and so on. So actually, what we do in the DORA assessment, how we do it and how we conduct it. We are starting from the scoping section, scoping stage. We are requesting everything related to the security, disaster recovery processes, business continuity, and of course, the risk management framework, which was chosen by the entity we are trying to audit and check everything. So after we have the high-level understanding of what's going on, what is the Web2 infrastructure inside the entity organization, what is the Web3 infrastructure, we are going to actually for the readiness assessment. So readiness assessment, we are taking all of the DORA controls and trying to map them on the entity current situation. We are checking everything via interview stages by sharing the interview plans and giving the opportunity to prepare before the interview. We are checking everything by the analysis of the documentation, analysis of the configuration, and of course, we don't ignore the results of any of previous testing related to the penetration testing, any source code review, and so on. So by the readiness assessment, we check it everything if the actual entity compliant for now and what of the level of their compliance for the DORA controls. And after the readiness assessment, we are starting to build the remediation strategy. So we are building the roadmap of how incorporating less resources and less time build more efficient processes there. So we are giving the roadmap, we're giving the solutions, and of course, on this like tricky road, we are helping here and we are consulting here. So we can prepare the documentation, missing processes development, present it to a team, and of course, we can implement the needed security tools, because for reducing risk, for mitigating risk, we have the management security controls and we have the technical security controls. So by this remediation strategy, we are trying to build all of the missing processes, and in parallel, we are ready to start any of the needed and required testing types for the DORA requirements. So it would be TLPT, it would be penetration testing, and it would be any of the all types testing we need to have based on the scope, because the DORA mentioned that we need to have the independent testing of the critical ICT related assets. So of course, we will consider any Web3 assets where the risks related to the funds losses every time could be more and most significant than just the identified non-exploitable vulnerability during, for example, the vulnerability assessment and so on. So by having the clear roadmap strategy and the results from our testing, we started the remediation. So we conducted the readiness assessment, we conducted the technical tests, and we have the technical remediation plans, and we have the more like management remediation plans. And after everything was implemented, we do the rechecking, and if everything go well, if the remediation was successful, of course, we issue the certificate that validates that on this current time, for this current and next year, you was able to pass this check and audits. So this is how the our basic audit flow looks like here. So about that, I also want to jump that if you're choosing the road to DORA and you need not actual the wall centralized road to achieve the compliance, you also could choose some of the processes for which you need the outsourcing, for which you need the help from the third-party provider, and so on. For example, if you see that your risk management is enough compliant and mature enough, and you have, for example, any evidences from the other information security frameworks, you could choose the third-party provider only for the one readiness assessment, or you can choose the TLPT testing because it needs lots of resources that company, for example, haven't for now. And it is actually touch each section and each build from the DORA. So you can choose wall process to delegate it to the third-party provider like Hacken, or you can choose some of the sections, some of the touching processes, and some of the points. So this is why what we actually do in the DORA compliance audit.
Nice. And can you detail what are the main differences between a penetration test and a threat-led penetration test under DORA?
Yeah, so the penetration testing is more focused to identify as much vulnerabilities as the actual security engineer or penetration tester could. Yeah, so we see that any misconfiguration, we see any vulnerability, and we are required to report it, to share the remediation plan, to share our vision, how it needs to be eliminated. And after that, we are completing the final comprehensive report with the mapping of the threat models and all vulnerabilities were identified. What about the TLPT? That it's more red teaming focused approach, because here the penetration testing, the red team actually focused on identifying the right strategy to break in the entity system. And in the report, you will not get just the list of the vulnerabilities, but you will get the risk scenarios based on real world attacks that we have like in the Web3 and Web2, and it's everything based on what infrastructure we test. So the TLPT is more wider and is more aggressive type testing with involvement of different red teaming technique and approach like the phishing campaigns and so on. That's why the TLPT with combination of the penetration testing will give you the most efficient result, because if you will conduct only TLPT or only penetration testing, so it would be like something not sufficient, not a whole image. But if you have the completely black box red teaming approach with the TLPT and, for example, white box or the gray box penetration testing, it will get you unbelievable results, and it actually help you build the mature process for the security and, of course, the IT.
Awesome. Incredible. How often should organizations conduct these independent audits under the DORA controls to remain compliant with the legislation?
Yeah, so if we are speaking about the security testing, so the DORA requires to have the independent, comprehensive security testing annually for all critical ICT assets. So it includes the source code security review for any custody, self-developed solution, any like key generation mechanism, any smart contracts, and so on. It also includes the penetration testing, and it also includes all different testing specifically based on your scope. If you're talking about the TLPT, so the TLPT test required to conduct one time in 3 years. But if we are speaking about actually the readiness assessment, about the checking everything regarding the DORA compliance and so on, I would say that the best answer would be to have it continuously. So you don't have like the straight timestamp when you need to be certified by DORA or compliant by DORA, and so on. It is the continuous and regular process, and you need to have the internal checks and internal audits to manage it. And of course, it would be nice, we recommend from our side, to have the third-party audits within the DORA controls at least annually, just to check is everything go well here, and to see the remediation plans and the gaps from another actor in your system.
Nice, thank you, Dima. So what generic security processes are encompassed within the DORA regulation? Some businesses are very used to dealing with compliance issues. How does this new regulation align with the broader industry standards?
Yeah, actually, so when we present in the DORA, we talking a lot about the risk management, about the disaster recovery, about the DCP, and of course the incident response processes. But actually, if you will see the detailed requirements of the DORA, for example, the risk framework section or the articles related to disaster recovery, you will see that there are a lot of the generic security processes behind. So you also need to have in place something like the capacity management, patch management, of course, the major vulnerability management inside, and lots of supporting processes like the access control, credentials mechanism. You need to check your detection mechanism for the login and monitoring process. You need to have the alerting system in place, not only for Web2 infrastructure, but Web3. That's why the DORA not only for the risks and incidents, but the impact of the DORA controls for your security posture is more wider that you can expect. I will say like this.
Fantastic. And as part of our DORA compliance suite, we also have this AI-powered on-chain monitoring and protection tool called Extractor. We're going to break off a bit now to show you a demo of that system. It provides real-time detection, automated security measures, and an incident response framework, as well as monitoring as well. So I am going to share the screen, and Dima, if you could confirm that this is visible, that would be fantastic for me. Okay, sorry. Okay. We have this new bug on this window. There we go. Okay, perfect. So yes, this is Extractor, and anyone can go to extractor.live and try this platform. I really recommend this if you are considering investing into a crypto token. This is what I do when I'm considering investments, and people are airdropping me tokens. Check them out on Extractor. You can set an account, log in. It's very easy to add any contract or wallet to this platform. You simply click add address here, and here you can type in the contract wallet address. And Extractor is live monitoring and intercepting attacks on all of these different blockchains. So you can see here most of the EVM ecosystem is covered, and we also have some non-EVM ecosystems as well. And we're constantly adding more chains to this list via integrations. What is Extractor? So it's a real-time system that monitors and looks for suspicious or anomalous activity. And I'm just going to head to the famous non-MiCA compliant stablecoin Tether here and show you a little bit of this in action. So here is Extractor in the compliance monitoring section, detecting lots and lots of anti-money laundering address interactions on the 9th of December via Tether on Ethereum. We can dig into these transactions. We can see that this is a source from Global Ledger's blacklist, actually, and we can see a little bit more information about each of these transactions. Extractor is able to detect these transactions and to take action. So in this instance, if you have someone that's on a blacklist or has been involved in a cybercrime interacting with your smart contract, you're probably going to want to freeze their ability to transact. But that's not all Extractor can do. It also can detect changes in circulating supply, i.e. mint and burn attacks. And your interception, your action there would change. So you probably want to, freeze the contract, potentially have devs come in and do a post-mortem. and make sure everything was okay to continue. We can also detect changes in liquidity. So if someone is trying to drain, let's say, a bridge contract, then your response there would change again. Potentially, you would move the liquidity into a secure environment so the hacker could not take it all. We have lots and lots of different detectors on Extractor. We have from GitHub monitors to financial detectors like the price monitor. We can detect DNS hijacking and changes to contract verification and hash. And over on the security monitoring section as well, we have address poisoning and various block reorganization detectors as well. So it's a very customizable system. You can adapt it to your particular project, and you can set your triggers, you can set your responses to a wide range of different attack vectors. Again, we're constantly developing this platform. We are adding new detectors all the time. We're adding new chains all the time. So expect to see this list grow. Okay, let's go back to the slides. And I just wanted to highlight as well that a lot of teams do not have the the budget for a full-time CSIO. So we actually offer a virtual fractionalized CSIO service. You can contact Hacken as and when you need our support for any compliance issues. You can think of us as your cybersecurity Sherpas. So the climb might be steep, but we'll get you to the summit safely. Okay, so yeah, just going over the key points. So we are specialized compliance experts. We've got deep knowledge of Web3 and financial institutions. We have over 70 engineers with lots of different specializations, lots of different program languages we cover in our audits. There isn't much of the blockchain tech stack we haven't already covered. And I always say to people that there's nothing that we cannot cover in the future. When we deal with a particularly novel project or a advanced cryptography, we build a team specifically to deal with that project. We start by doing a gap analysis covering all of your systems. So this is a bit of a change in thinking framework for traditional crypto native businesses, where they would cover one product and then go to market and get it running immediately without looking at the rest of their system. One-size-fits-all solutions don't work, so we deliver bespoke strategies for all of our clients. We help to mitigate risks from external providers. For example, I was at a Fireblocks workshop a few weeks ago in Brussels, and their approach is that it sounds like they're going to make a template document that their clients can then use to put as part of their DORA framework. So yeah, we'll be helping to communicate with your third-party providers and to get all of the relevant info together. We have specialist teams that do threat-led penetration testing. We can train your team and help them to maintain compliance and be cybersecurity aware. In fact, 75% of the attacks last year were access control hacks where private keys have been compromised. You can read more about that in our 2024 cybersecurity report. And we're also going to give you practical steps to improve compliance across your whole organization. We'll give you a badge that certifies that you're DORA compliant. And we are very much involved with the long-term success of our clients as well. So DORA doesn't have to be daunting when you've got us as your partner. Let us do the heavy lifting so you guys can focus on innovation. Okay, Dima, I will hand the mic over to you to talk about some of our advantages of our solutions.
Yeah,
and then we'll go to questions.
Actually, I see that we already have some questions, so I will tell some things that are remaining from my side, and we will go through the questions actually to don't get lots of your time actually. So for our valuable things that we could provide is that we on each section we have the requirements for the DORA, we have the experience, and we have the hands-on experience there. So if we are talking about the risk management, so we have the experience to build the methodology based on other major industry recognized frameworks like ISO 27005, PCI DSS, NIST framework, and lots of things there. So We could provide it to you. You need to have the risk assessment methodology. You need to have the risk register, threat modeling. You need to have the risk treatment plan. And you also need to track the efficiency of your existing control and measures with reducing the risks, and the measures which you're planning to implement with the clear strategy, with the clear plan, which you're able to show to your stakeholders, partners, and so on. And if you come back, for example, I already see the question in the chat is, what is the DORA going to help to do securing Web3 other than just making up fictions rule and penalties and regulations and so on? So actually, before of that, we haven't much regulations and security frameworks like DORA before. We have chosen to use ISO 27001, SOC 2, maybe any need-specific or custom implementation there, but not of these frameworks are actually convenient to work with the Web3 assets and such scope. At least we have the ICT-related assets, we have the specific terms we could easily implement and work with. So it could be like a roadmap to mature your security, because for me, the idea of DORA is the one interesting phrase that if you haven't planning in your disaster recovery, you actually planning the disaster. So this is the main idea of the DORA, to have the mature security processes, reaction, identification, planning, awareness for the such places like the Web3 assets where the risk could be very significant. So just need to implement this and this all. So in our actually approach, we also incorporating some other frameworks like the CCSS, when speech goes for the wallets, for the key generation mechanism, for the management of private keys, seed phrases, key materials, and of course with using of any third party, for example, like Fireblocks, we use an additional layer of controls to check if your team do and know what they are doing actually. That's why our approach is more specific. We not only rely on the DORA, but we actually add like multi-layer security and process to help you close all of the like painful requirements of the process, which sometimes could be hard to implement. So here we are just to help you, and of course to see it from the other sides, from the different sides on the different process in your company. So yeah, something like that.
Awesome. Yeah, I just wanted to add to the question here about what is DORA going to do to help us secure Web3. It's not just a regulation for Web3. It's actually concerning all critical infrastructure in the EU. So from financial institutions to supply chain to medical and very critical infrastructure, because hackers are constantly trying to get access to those systems and trying to exploit exploitations wherever they can, and more we're seeing that these are nation state backed attacks that are happening on particular government institutions. So this is what DORA is responding to here, and crypto being part of the financial industry now makes it important for us as well. Okay, we have another question here from LinkedIn. How does a complete resilience testing of an ICT infrastructure look like? Is it only about penetration testing or other types of tests as well?
Yeah, so actually when we are talking about the like comprehensive resilience testing and so on, we need to have the chain of the identification of on what we actually work. Yes, so if you conducted your risk assessment, you have the stage with the assets discovery, you need to identify the threats and you need to identify all of your assets. From this list of assets, you identify the critical ones. And of course, if the sum of your assets involved with the work of the money, of the funds, your clients, of course, it would be a critical one. So based on your assets map or on your assets matrix, you need to actually develop the digital resilience testing program, when you actually plan and schedule all of the tests for all of the critical ICT related scope. So it's not actually mean only about the penetration testing, but it's more specific based on the scope you have. So if you incorporate smart contracts in place, you need to have the smart contracts audit for this asset. If you have the DApp, for example, you need to have the DApp audit. If you have like only the two infrastructure, of course, you need to have the penetration testing. And if we are talking about the TLPT, so it really depends on the availability of the solution you use. Yes, so if you have like the smart contracts which publicly available, of course, you also need to be focused during the TLPT on the smart contracts. If you have the publicly available custody solutions, you also need to include it in the TLPT, because only God knows when the hackers want to touch your infrastructure and from what side actually. That's why if we are talking about the complete resilience testing, it based on the scope you choose, it based on the threats and risks you identified, and you need to conduct the complete security assessment for each of these points. It would be best if the team which working with the penetration testing or any security assessments you have are standing with you from the early start. It would be nice if the such team will get the results from the risk assessment for any internal testing or the review, and it will be boost the results you will get comparing the just generic penetration testing, and that's all. So something like this.
Thank you, Dimitro, for the very in-depth analysis there. I don't see any more questions in the comments, so if someone does have one, get it in quick and we'll try to answer it in the next minute or so. Yeah, cool. So let's just recap then. So MiCA sets the rules. DORA ensures resilience. Compliance is not just a checkbox, it's your ticket to thriving in the EU business environment. And we are here to help you as well. We're not lawyers, though. We can only handle cybersecurity elements of your approach, but we're happy to work with lawyers and legal departments as well. If you are interested to work with us, then you can book in a call with us. Here are my links. You can reach out to me on Telegram, LinkedIn, via our website or the Hacken Club Twitter account as well. We're happy to help you with any preparations for this new regulation. Thank you for all of your attention today. It seems like there's 351 viewers in the various channels that we're publishing this on. If you do have any questions after this, after reviewing the material, or you want to book a demonstration of Extractor, please reach out to us again. And let's make compliance and security less of a headache and more of an opportunity together.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody.
Of course, I want to add that for all of your people that view in such stream, we have the special gift, which we actually crafted before our webinar. So it is the comprehensive DORA checklist, which give you an opportunity to track for now your status about the implemented controls for the DORA. So it contains 6 sections and 60 questions, which you need to submit to see the progress and the status of your DORA compliance. And one more important thing that I want to share is that after you submit this questionnaire, we will take from 1 to 2 days to analyze all of the results, and we will come back to you with the recommendations and a high-level remediation plan, just to show you on what the process you could focus more and what process is missing for you based on your answers and based on our checklist results. So I will share for now in the chat the link for this questionnaire, and of course after our webinar you will able to actually check it in our publication also. So I'm dropping the link.
There we go. I've just there's a QR code on the screen in the very top right hand side of the screen that's going to lead you through to that questionnaire as well. We just have one more question coming in, a couple more questions coming in from LinkedIn now. as the managing partner of a law group based in Amsterdam, you have extensive experience working with clients across crypto and tech landscape. Okay, it's a request to connect. So I'm going to connect with you after the chat. Thank you for posting your comment. Lots of legal firms are now, helping clients to prepare this across the EU as well. It's good to see finally people are taking notice after the deadline date has arrived. We were talking about this back 6 months ago, and it felt like it was miles away. But now the day is here. It's definitely time to get prepared. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, if there are no further questions, then I guess we can finish the stream here. Those that do fill out the questionnaire can follow the link that is in the comments on our various streams. There is also the QR code in the top right-hand corner of the screen. You can connect with me on Telegram or LinkedIn, and I'm happy to answer any questions along with Dima. Thank you all for your time today, and see you next time.
Thank you. See you. Bye.
Bye-bye.